Hello everyone, this is your friend from Naruto Audio Fanfics, and we are back once again with a brand new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto and Tenten were the last hope of peace when a new evil rose across the Shinobi world? Part 1. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit the like button, thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing Naruto fanfics like this. So without wasting any more time, let's start today's fanfic. A certain blonde Hokage was stuck in his office doing his paperwork. As he signed and filed documents, he saw why every previous Kage complained about the workload. The amount of papers was staggering. As he went through his paperwork, he noticed one of his clones arranging the books on the shelves. "Oh, nice job. I can't believe the previous Kage never thought to try this," the blonde said as he summoned another clone to carry the documents to the adjacent office. He was able to get through his work pretty easily. While he complained about it, he was happy that he remembered he could use shadow clones for help. As he raced through his paperwork, he heard a knock at the door. "Oh, come in," he said, looking up as the door opened. Then came his advisor. She still had her hair shaped like two buns as she carried in some more paperwork. The only thing different about her was her wardrobe. She wore a dark red sleeveless top and long black pants as she walked. The blonde always enjoyed her company, and he had reason to. His advisor was his wife after all. Smiling, he looked up to his advisor. "Oh, Ten-chan, more work," Naruto said as he looked at her. Tenten smiled as she set the stack of new documents on his desk. "Yep, Naruto-kun, put those clones to good use and we can leave," Tenten said as she ran out the door. Naruto sighed as he looked at the work. Deciding to get it done rather than complain, Naruto got back to work. Soon after Naruto's work was done, Shikamaru came through the door. "Hokage-sama, the new documents are..." Shikamaru was interrupted by a hand up from Naruto. "Now Shikamaru, we all talked about this, what are you to call me?" Naruto asked with a smile. Shikamaru laughed as he remembered his request. "Naruto, the new documents for the alliance of Konoha to Iwa, Kumo, and Kiri are all now in place," Shikamaru stated to Naruto. Naruto smiled as he nodded. It took some convincing of Iwa personally for Naruto to hold an alliance with them. The village was still sore over the Yondaime Hokage's involvement in the war, but Naruto managed to soothe the village a little. "Thank you, Shikamaru. You can go now," Naruto said as Shikamaru nodded and walked out. As Naruto got up, he looked at the fourth's picture. "You know, you really can cause trouble," Naruto said with a smile. Naruto looked at the stack of papers he finished. He was still amazed at the amount and thanked Kami for the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. As he got up to leave, he saw his lovely wife standing waiting for him. "Getting of work early again?" Tenten asked her husband. Naruto smiled as he looked at her. "When all your work is done, the only option is to leave," Naruto said as he headed for the door. Tenten smiled as she nodded her head and walked after her husband. As the two exited the Hokage mansion, they saw the entrance guards bow as they left. "Have a good day, Hokage-sama," they said with smiles. Naruto smiled as he nodded. He took his wife in his hands as they walked throughout the village. As they walked, everyone could see their Hokage as he walked and greeted the villagers. "Ah, Hokage-sama, did work end early again?" a male village asked. "Yeah, it did," Naruto said to the man. As the couple continued their walk. Soon the couple met their past senseis. "Hey Kakashi and Guy," Naruto said as the two looked up from their tables. Kakashi smiled as he saw Konoha's Hokage walk up to him. "Oh Naruto, how do you do?" Kakashi asked. "Not too bad. Finished work so I am enjoying the day with my wife," Naruto said as Tenten blushed and leaned on his shoulder. Guy gave Naruto a thumbs up as he continued to talk about youth. Naruto smiled as Tenten smirked. "Hey Kakashi, I would like you to get Neji and Kiba for me, I need them for something," Naruto said to the silver-haired Jonin. Kakashi smiled as he nodded. He quickly shushined to find Neji and Kiba. After 10 minutes Kakashi came back with Neji and Kiba in suit. You asked for us, Naruto? Kiba asked. Naruto nodded. I went through some of the mission documents in my office and I found a mission that you both will like, Naruto started. Neji and Kiba smiled as they listened. It will be a B rank mission. It entails protecting a town from some bandits that are becoming a problem, Naruto said to them. Neji and Kiba smiled at the chance for another mission. Neji, you are the leader. I want you to leave in 1 hour, Naruto stated. Both bowed as they ran off to pack. Naruto was effective Hokage. Because of Naruto, the world had its longest period of peace since his inauguration as Kage. The village had come as one, and the knowledge they shared made plenty of breakthroughs in not only ninja skills, but also citizen living. Because of Naruto, more jutsus were invented that helped standard living. His village had found a jutsu that is able to replenish vital organs to a degree that everything was perfect with no drawbacks. Naruto was easily the most talked about person in the world. As Naruto rested on a bench, he looked at his wife. She was with him every step of the way. He couldn't have made it this far without her. As Tenten looked at her husband, she saw his face get closer to hers. She smiled as she leaned closer and gave her husband a kiss. Mind coming with me to the medical facilities? Naruto asked with a smile. Tenten smiled as she nodded. I will go with my husband anywhere, Tenten said as she got up. Naruto got up and both walked to the hospital. Konoha's medical center. Sakura, I need a chakra fusion here, Tsunade said as she poured a bottle mixing some chemicals. Hi Tsunade sensei, Sakura said as she covered her hands in chakra and applied it to the bottle. Tsunade was now in charge of Konoha's medical facilities. Sakura and Shizune were her assistants. Tsunade made many breakthroughs in medical research as she was able to improve the seal on her forehead. She was able to draw out the power of the seal and have no drawbacks. She even found a way to produce an infinite number of cells in the body. Tsunade still wore her old clothes from when she was the Hokage. Sakura's attire was almost no different. Her hair was longer, but a few inches shorter from when she started her genin days. She wore black kunoichi boots and her skin was a bit lighter. As the two worked, Shizune came through the door. Tsunade-sama, we have a guest, Shizune said as she smiled. Tsunade grew a vein on her forehead. Tell them to come when I am not busy, Tsunade said to Shizune. Shizune was about to respond when a hand fell on her shoulder. Ah, that hurts, Tsunade-ba-chan, you're too busy for me. The mysterious figure said to her. Tsunade's vein disappeared as she and Sakura turned around. Both looked at the door to see the blonde Hokage and his advisor, wife next to him smiling. Oh Naruto-kun, never too busy for you, Tsunade said as she got up and walked over to Naruto. Sakura got up from her seat and walked over to Naruto. Naruto, how have you been? Shouldn't you be at the mansion? Sakura asked. Naruto smiled. Got all the work done, the Kage Bunshin is great, he said to them. Tsunade fell to the ground and comically cried. If only I remembered that jutsu, then I wouldn't have suffered so much, Tsunade said as everyone laughed. So how is the new jutsu coming along? Naruto asked. Oh, the jutsu and its research are coming along very well, Tsunade said with confidence. Naruto smiled as he nodded. Naruto thought about improving a shinobi health and wanted to design a jutsu that helps reduce chakra exhaustion. Naruto had Tsunade and her assistants working on it for a while. Thank you, Tsunade. Tell me when there is anything new, he said with a smile as he left. Tenten bid the women goodbye and followed her husband. Tsunade and Sakura smiled at each other as everyone continued their jobs. As Naruto exited the hospital, he went to check on the interrogation unit. Following Naruto, Tenten wrapped her arms around him and smiled as the two leisurely walked. Konoha's interrogation unit. Ibiki was behind his desk as he went over some documents. He was at peace as he signed some papers. Suddenly one of his officers came in to report. Ibiki Taiko, we have a guest, his advisor said to him. Ibiki groaned. Whoever it is, send them away before I torture them, he said to the man. Naruto smiled as he entered. You know it is treason to try and torture the Hokage, Naruto said to a startled Ibiki. Ah, Naruto, sorry, too much work, Ibiki said to him. Naruto smiled as he looked at Ibiki. Man, even Ibiki doesn't know, Tenten said as she leaned on her husband. I know, right? Naruto said to her. What don't I know? Ibiki asked in wonder. Naruto and Tenten smiled. The secret to getting work done faster, Naruto said to him. Ibiki jumped and bowed. Hokage-sama, please tell me, Ibiki asked in desperation. Naruto was about to answer as he stopped a kunai that was aimed at his neck. He smiled again. This is treason, Anko, Naruto said with a smile. Anko appeared out of view and smiled. It a greeting, Naruto, a greeting, Anko said with a nervous smile. Naruto nodded his head. Some greeting, Naruto said to her. Just be careful, Naruto told her. Anko looked confused. Why? Anko asked. Naruto turned to her. While I know it's a greeting, she might not know that, Naruto pointed to Tenten. Anko turned to see Tenten's kunai aimed at Anko's jugular. Sorry, Tenten, just a greeting, sorry, Anko said as she sweated. Okay, Anko, but watch it, my husband is my life, Tenten said as she put her kunai away. Well, Ibiki, I just wanted to check things here. Good day, Naruto said as he turned to leave. Wait, Hokage-sama, what was the thing that helps get rid of paperwork faster? Ibiki asked. Naruto smiled as he remembered. He walked over to Ibiki and put his hand on his shoulder. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto said as he got up to leave. Ibiki for once was on the verge of tears. Hours of paperwork done in minutes, because of a technique required to pass a genin exam. How could I miss that? Ibiki said as he made a clone and rushed through his work. Naruto and Tenten exited the interrogation unit building. Well, Ten-chan, we have nothing to do, how would you like dinner at a restaurant tonight? Naruto asked her. Tenten smiled as she held her husband. Sounds great, Naruto-kun, and maybe later, Tenten said as she whispered in his ear. Naruto blushed as he heard her suggestion. My wife is such a pervert, not that I will complain, Naruto thought as he looked at her. Well, then you will be in my care, he said to her. And no one else's, Tenten said as the two ran home to get dressed for their night out. Hideout somewhere in Iowa. Come on, Orochimaru, when do we start? Sasuke wondered. With his brother gone, Sasuke could only focus on beating Naruto. Patience, Sasuke, our plan will begin soon, Kukuku, Orochimaru said as he sat in his chair. Somewhere in Kumo. Having those two defeat all the Akatsuki has set me back, but I will recover and they will know the terror of the Sharingan, Madara said as he walked through the people he gathered from other villages. Konoha, enjoy your peace, it won't last long, Madara said to himself as he disappeared into the shadows. Both shinobi were currently about to leave for their mission that Naruto gave them. As they neared the entrance, they went over the mission details. Okay, it's a B rank mission. There are bandits giving people trouble and we have to help them. I miss anything? Kiba asked as he talked with Neji. No, you didn't miss anything. Let's go, Neji said as Kiba nodded. Both left the village and went into the trees. Both were going at a fast pace to get to the designated town and back before next morning. Back in Konoha, Naruto and Tenten were at their house getting ready for the romantic evening that Naruto had planned for them. As Naruto put on his black suit, Tenten put on her red dress. Both looked simply amazing as Tenten grabbed her husband's arm and they left. So my wife, I will take you to a good and fancy place, the Rokudaime Hokage said to his wife. I am so happy that my husband thinks about me so much, Tenten said as she purred in his ear. Naruto's face reddened as he felt his legs go weak. Man, why is she so good at doing that? Naruto thought to himself as he continued to walk with his wife. Tenten smiled as she looked at his response. She knew she could always get him weak in the knees with her. Thinking of some payback, Naruto smiled. Well, I have to show my wife I love both in public and private affairs, Naruto said as he kissed his wife's cheek. Tenten blushed as she thought of all the events they partook in during their times at home. Oh, my husband is so generous, will he be generous tonight? Tenten asked. Naruto smiled as he turned to her. I think he can be very generous tonight and he might surprise you tonight, Naruto told her. Tenten thought of what this surprise could be. She knew of Naruto's amazing stamina in all aspects, but even she wasn't sure of his surprise. Well, I will be waiting for that surprise, Tenten said to him. Naruto nodded as they continued to walk to the restaurant, while being eyed by the villagers. Some of the women were drooling over the physically fit Hokage. His toned muscles and toned body that seemed to gleam in the night sky made many women silently squeal in their heads. Tenten could see all of the glares at her husband. She shot all the women a death glare that screamed, touch him in any way and have my kunai shoved through you skulls. All the women seemed to back off as they noticed Tenten. Tenten smiled as the women dropped their gazes. Naruto could also see that some of the men were eyeing his wife. He had to at least admit that they had good taste, but he looked at them with a fierce glare that shouted, touch her and you will know why I am the Hokage of Konoha. The guys backed off also as they looked into their Rokudaime Hokage's eyes. Naruto and Tenten continued their walk through the village as they neared the restaurant. The restaurant. As Naruto and Tenten walked up to the restaurant, they came up to see a man with a book in his face. Naruto came up to the man. Excuse me, I believe I made a reservation, Naruto said to the man. The man had heard this all before and didn't look up from his book. Sorry, mister, but the Hokage has rented the entire place out and will have no interruptions tonight, the man said to Naruto. Naruto could almost smile at the man's ignorance. Naruto huffed as he walked a bit closer. Sir, please look up from your book, Naruto said as he smiled. The man pouted and sighed as he put the book down. His face lit up as he saw the Hokage and his wife at the booth. Hokage-sama, forgive me, I didn't realize, please write this way, he stammered as he guided a smiling Naruto and Tenten into the restaurant. He sat Naruto and Tenten at the highest point in the building near a window with a beautiful view of the village. As Naruto and Tenten sat, they ordered their food and waited for their food. As they waited, they went over their past life. It's been 2 years since we beat the Akatsuki, Tenten said as she looked out the window. I know, though the thought of Orochimaru and that last Akatsuki member still breathing worries me, Naruto said as he tried to fathom what those two could possibly be doing right now. Tenten noticed his concern and placed her hand over his. Naruto-kun, we have gotten and we are now the top ninja of Konoha. I know we can beat whatever they have planned, Tenten said with a smile. Naruto felt more reassured of her as he nodded. He could never doubt his wife's words when she talked to him. You're right, Ten-chan, let's enjoy this night and not waste it on those two, Naruto said to her. Tenten smiled as she nodded. She wasn't going to let Orochimaru of all people ruin her night with her husband. As their food arrived, Naruto and Tenten ate with full joy of the other's company. Both allowed the romance to sweep them away as they entered their own little world. 3 hours later, as they finished their meals, Naruto and Tenten decided to go home and fulfill the surprise that Naruto had planned for them. As they were in the street, they were suddenly engaged by a sweating Neji and a frantic Kiba. Both looked like they had seen something so horrible it was beyond words. Naruto the Kiba tried to say, but he just couldn't bring out the words. Neji tried to form words too, but couldn't. Both Naruto and Tenten were confused. Whoa, you guys, what is it? Naruto asked. Both breathed as they calmed down. Naruto, you and Tenten have to come with me and Neji now along with some Jonin, please, Kiba begged as he looked at the Hokage. Naruto and Tenten asked what happened, but Neji and Kiba had to explain on the way. Seeing that this was probably urgent, Naruto and Tenten decided to give up their special night to see what was wrong. Naruto summoned his Anbu to the scene. As 3 Anbu came to next to Naruto, they bowed as they awaited his orders. Summon Kakashi, Asuma, Guy, Kurenai, and Anko to me now, Naruto ordered. Yes, Hokage-sama, they all said as they scattered to get the required Jonin. After 10 minutes all Jonin showed up to see their Hokage, Tenten, Neji, and Kiba in the streets. Naruto, what is going on? Kakashi wondered as he had a confused look on his face for the sudden summoning. Everyone wondered the same. We are going to follow Neji and Kiba to the town that I gave them for a mission. Apparently they have found something very wrong there, Naruto said, earning glances from the Jonin. Everyone nodded as Naruto turned to Neji and Kiba. Now lead us to this place on the double, Naruto said to them. Both nodded as they ran off. Everyone followed at full speed as they kept up with Neji and Kiba. As they ran, Naruto brought the two back. So what is wrong? Naruto asked, gaining the attention from his Jonin and advisor. Neji and Kiba looked at each other and nodded. Naruto, the town feels weird, it is giving off a very dangerous vibe that isn't normal, Neji said to them. Naruto's eyes squinted as his face turned serious. Please Naruto, look for yourself and feel it for yourself when we get there, Kiba said to him. Naruto looked at Kiba and nodded as the group ran through the trees. 1 hour later, Naruto and the group arrived at the town. Everyone was shocked by what they saw. What the hell is this? Naruto wondered. Everyone saw a green mist envelop the town. People's bodies were scattered across the town. Naruto's rage boiled as he tried to calm down. He and his Jonin descended into the town. Naruto felt the toxic air and so did everyone else. Damn it, what is with this mist? Anko wondered as she felt a pain on her arm. Naruto could see what was going on. This mist, it seems to eat away at the chakra of the living and it seems to burn away at people's bodies also, Naruto said to them. Suddenly they saw a shinobi appear from the town. Everyone readied themselves for a fight. The way the man moved wasn't natural. Naruto decided to speak. Hey you, what is your name and what village are you affiliated with? He asked. Quote. Answer me, what village are you from? Quote. The man gave no response. All of a sudden he looked up to see the blonde and his followers. He walked closer as he closed the distance between him and Naruto. Stay back or we will retaliate, Naruto ordered. Kill, was all the man said. What? Kill? Oh no, everyone get back, now, Naruto yelled. Everyone backed up as the man ran at Naruto. Kill, he yelled as he ran at Naruto. He swung his fist out as Naruto let some winds form around him. The man's punch didn't hit connect as he was flung across the town. Naruto disappeared and reappeared behind him. He motioned for Anko. Anko, restrain him, Naruto said as he kicked the man towards Anko. Anko nodded as she grabbed the man next and tossed him over. She summoned some snakes and tied up the man. Naruto reappeared in front of the group. This isn't good, let's go back to the village, I need to warn the other villages of this, and I believe Orochimaru is making a move, Naruto said to his group. Everyone nodded in agreement as they ran back to the village. This simple B-ranked mission has turned into a problem. So Orochimaru, finally planning on coming out of hiding huh? Naruto wondered as everyone followed his lead back to the village. Somewhere in Iwa. So Orochimaru, the plan has begun, right? Sasuke wondered. That's right Sasuke-kun. This will be entertaining, Kukuku. Orochimaru laughed as he sat in his chair as the darkness enveloped the two shinobi. Naruto and his companions had just arrived with a captive as they walked through the streets. Naruto's face was one of the most serious faces he ever showed anyone. Anko was carrying an unidentified shinobi as they all walked through Konoha. Naruto was in some deep thought. Damn it for Orochimaru to come out of hiding now, this isn't good, Naruto said as they all walked through the village. Tenten could feel her husband's uneasiness as they walked to the interrogation unit of Konoha. Tenten didn't like the distress in Naruto's eyes. As they walked, Tenten came up to Naruto and wrapped herself around his arm, causing Naruto to come out of his thoughts. Calm down Naruto-kun, it isn't good to flutter over this, Tenten said worried. Naruto looked into his wife's eyes and saw the concern. Naruto sighed as he smiled. You're right Ten-chan, I need to calm down, Naruto said. He calmed down. Tenten smiled as she realized she had gotten through to her husband. Naruto turned around and faced the group. Everyone stopped as they looked at their Hokage. Alright, we need to calm down, everyone. I will now give my orders, Naruto said as everyone listened to him. Anko, take this guy to Ibiki. I want some information out of him in 24 hours. Tell Ibiki he can use any method he wants, but I want that information, Naruto said to Anko. Anko bowed as her face turned serious. Yes, Hokage-sama, I will relay this to Ibiki, Anko said as she shushined away to the interrogation building. Naruto nodded as he turned to the others. Kakashi, gather all the members of the council in 30 minutes, Kurenai help Asuma gather your former teams and meet me in the meeting room in 2 hours, Naruto ordered. Kurenai and Asuma nodded. Hi Hokage-sama, they both said as they disappeared to find everyone. Naruto turned to Guy. Guy, get Tsunade to me along with the Kurenai and Asuma's group, Naruto said to Guy. Hi Hokage-sama, Guy said with a thumbs up and ran off to get Tsunade. Naruto and Tenten jumped to the rooftops and headed for the Hokage mansion. As they neared the gates, the guards came up to see their Hokage. Naruto-san, you back, is something wrong? They asked. Naruto looked at the two and sighed. I don't know yet, but there just might be some big trouble, he said as he passed them along with Tenten. As they appeared in his office, Naruto sat down in his chair and took out scroll. He got a pen and started to write a letter to the villages of Iwa, Kumo, Kiri, and Suna. After Naruto finished his letter, he gave it to Tenten. Tenten bowed as she ran off to send messenger hawks to the cages. Naruto laid back into his chair. So Orochimaru, just try and break this piece, I swear you will regret it if you hurt those precious to me, Naruto thought as he looked at the time. He got up from his chair and left. With Tenten. Tenten came into the messenger room as she saw the various birds in their cages. She uncaged 4 of their fastest hawks as they were always used for emergencies. Tenten put the scrolls into the pouches as she sent the hawks off. All 4 hawks squealed as they hit the sky and flew off to their destinations. Now to get back to my husband, Tenten said as she ran back to Naruto. Council room. As the civilian council came in along with the clan heads, Naruto came in and sat in the center. As everyone got seated, they all turned to their Hokage for answers. Hokage-sama, what is the purpose of this late night meeting? One of the civilians asked. Everyone nodded as they looked at Naruto with concern. Naruto sighed as he began. A few hours ago I sent Neji and Kiba on a B-rank mission to deal with some bandits in a town close to here, Naruto said as he began. Everyone nodded as they understood his explanations. Naruto continued. A few hours ago both shinobi showed up in front of me in a panic, Naruto continued as he heard the musings of some civilians. Hiashi was surprised. For something to frighten Neji of all people was unheard of. And what happened? Shikaku asked Naruto with a drop of sweat on his face. Naruto nodded as he continued. They told me to follow them along with some jonin to the place. I accepted and followed along with Kakashi, Asuma, Guy, Kurenai, Anko, and Tenten, and when we got there it was unsightly, Naruto said to them. Everyone was on the edge of their seats as they listened. What we found was a green mist that covered the entire village. There were an insurmountable number of corpses on the ground of the town. This is in no way the work of bandits, Naruto said to them. Everyone was sweating. They all agreed that this wasn't normal bandits' behavior. After we wandered the village, there came a shinobi, but he didn't walk like one, his arms draped down and he walked like he had a hunched back, Naruto said to them. I ordered him to answer who he was in his village, but all he ever said was, kill, Naruto said as he tried to think. Hiashi, Shikaku and Chojuro weren't happy with how this was sounding at all. The man attacked, but we easily won, I have him in Ibiki's care for now, Naruto said as he finished his debriefing. The room was silent as everyone tried to comprehend his story. Everyone appeared to be in deep thought as they tried to come up with their own conclusions to the Hokage's words. Shikaku was the first to snap out of the silence. So what is your conclusion on this Hokage-sama? He said as everyone looked up at Naruto. Naruto turned to Shikaku and sighed. Truthfully, I think Orochimaru is coming out of hiding and he is planning something big for everyone, Naruto said to the head of the Nara clan. One of the civilians spoke up. Hokage-sama, if Orochimaru is involved and this is how you say, then isn't this a threat to the 5 great nations? She asked. Naruto turned to him. Yes, it is actually. Based on the things I have seen, this could be very bad for all the villages, Naruto said to them all. One of the council members who had pink hair similar to Sakura stood up. So what are we to do, Hokage-sama? Sukuna asked him. Naruto looked at her. For now, until this is confirmed, nothing, but when it is confirmed, I want everyone to be ready to evacuate civilians in case of an emergency, Naruto ordered. The civilian council nodded in agreement with Naruto's decision. Also, as a precaution, I want the clan heads to train their successors more efficiently now, Naruto said to the clan heads. They all nodded and bowed. Naruto adjourned the meeting as he went back to his office. Naruto could only slouch in his seat. The day was going great for everyone, now Orochimaru had to come in and destroy the peace. As Naruto sat in his seat, he saw his brunette wife bring him some tea. Here, Naruto-kun, drink this, it will make you feel a bit better, Tenten said as she smiled. Naruto's serious face turned to joy at the sight of his wife. She could always brighten his day to the point of not worrying about anything. Naruto smiled as he took the cup. Ah, thank you, Ten-chan, I needed this, Naruto said as he sipped the tea. Tenten smiled. Anything for my husband, Tenten said. Naruto smiled as he got up. He walked over to his wife and brought her face closer to his as he pushed his lips into hers. As he gave her a kiss, Tenten submitted to it as she wrapped her hands around her husband. Naruto's tongue explored his wife's mouth as he savored the sweet taste of her lips. Tenten could shiver from the ecstasy of the moment. After a full minute of their kiss, Naruto broke the connection. Tenten smiled as she got her composure back. If that is for delivering tea, I wonder about other things, Tenten said to her husband. Naruto smirked as he held her. You might just find out, he said as he held her tight. I look forward to it, Tenten said as she snuggled into her husband's arms. As they hugged, they failed to notice a few spectators in the room. Someone smiled as they stepped forward. I don't think the office was made for that purpose, Naruto, Shikamaru said with the others who were smirking. Naruto and Tenten blushed as they saw their friends in the room. Letting go of each other, both coughed. So how long have you been there? Tenten asked. Ino suddenly came into the conversation smiling. Oh, around the time you both started Frenching each other, Ino said. Suddenly Sakura came in also. Oh, please don't stop on our account, Sakura said to them. Naruto sighed as he walked back to his seat. Okay, but we have to get back to business, Naruto said as his face turned serious. Every one of his friends came in until the room was filled. Naruto went over the details to them as he did with the council. Everyone was in utter shock. And that is why you will be training with you clans more and will be learning more of their jutsu, Naruto told them. Everyone nodded that they understood. I also want you all with your former senseis to start training again. I feel that I will be sending everyone on higher missions. I might even have to go on a mission myself, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded again. Naruto dismissed them as they were all left to their thoughts. Naruto sat back into his chair as he went over the events. Man, tomorrow is going to be troublesome, Naruto said to himself. Naruto was wide-eyed as he caught himself. Damn Shika, your behavior affects everyone, doesn't it? Naruto chuckled to himself. In Suna, Gaara was busy doing paperwork as he sighed at the amount he had left. Gaara wasn't one to complain, but even he had to sigh at the amount he still had. Suddenly Asuna Shinobi came through his doors. Lord Casecage, we have a message from Konoha, he said as he held up a letter. Gaara looked up from his work and sighed. Sigh, thank you, you may go, Gaara said as he opened the letter. As he read, Gaara's face turned serious as he continued to read. After he finished reading, Gaara looked out the window. Naruto, Gaara said to himself. Gaara left the paper on his desk. He called for his advisor. The man came in as he bowed. Gaara walked up to him. Summon an emergency council meeting now, and I will be leaving for Konoha in a week, Gaara said to Baki. Baki bowed as he left. Gaara sat back into his chair. In Kumo, the Raikage was humming as he went through some documents. He had felt very good for the past couple of days. He wasn't sure what was the cause for his happiness, but he felt today was a good day. As he went through some paperwork, one of his assistants came through the door. Lord Raikage, we have an urgent message from Konoha, one assistant said to him. Raikage's face turned to worry as he took the letter. Thank you, you may go, Raikage said as he looked at the letter from Konoha. Raikage became wide-eyed as he viewed the letter. Raikage remained stunned as he looked out the window. Uzumaki-san, Raikage said as he snapped himself out of his daze. Raikage yelled for his advisor. In a minute, a woman called Mabui appeared behind the Raikage. Yes, Lord Raikage, she said asked. Raikage turned and his face was purely serious. Assemble a council right now, and I am going to Konoha in a week, he said to his advisor. Mabui bowed as she went to fulfill his orders. Raikage was left in his room. Damn it, Orochimaru, Raikage said as he seethed through his teeth as he fell back into his chair. In Kiri, Mizukage, Mai Terumi, was stocked up with paperwork for the upcoming Chunin exams. As she went over documents for the process, she sighed, wondering when she would be done. As she stressed over her work, Aoi came through the door. Mizukage-sama, we have a message from Konoha, he said as he bowed. Mai got up from her seat to get the letter. A letter from Naruto-kun, Mai said as she took the letter and opened it. She read the contents as her mouth dropped a little as she stared in shock. After her daze, Mai looked at Aoi with concern, then turned to the window. Naruto-kun, Mai said as she looked outside. Snapping out of her daze, Mai turned to Aoi in seriousness. Form a council meeting right now, and I will be going to Konoha in week, Mizukage said as she sat down. Aoi bowed as he left to complete Mai's orders. Always causing trouble for everyone, Orochimaru, Mai said as she sat in her seat. In Iwa, Tsuchikage, Onoki, was supervising some of his shinobi as they trained. He was all smiles at the progress they were all making. This year's Chunin exams will be interesting, he thought as he continued to watch. As he continued to watch, one of his shinobi came up to him. Lord Tsuchikage, we have a message from Konoha, he said to Onoki. Onoki sighed as he took the letter. He opened the scroll. So what does the blonde Gaki want? He said as he read the letter. His face turned to disbelief as he read the letter. He looked down as the letter fell from his hands. Onoki looked up into the sky. Gaki, Onoki said as he got back to reality. He turned to his shinobi. Form a council meeting now, and I will be going to Konoha in a week, he said to the man. He bowed as he left to fulfill Tsuchikage's orders. Onoki sighed. Always appearing when you aren't wanted, Orochimaru, Onoki said as he walked back to the mansion. He once more read over the note. To Suna, Kiri, Kumo, and Iwa. Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing okay in their respective villages. I am doing fine here, but the reason I have sent this letter is a matter of all our villages and their security. I have reason to believe that Orochimaru's coming out of hiding and is planning on waging war on all of our villages. My villages has seen suspicious activity in the works. I am taking some necessary precautions to this threat. I would advise that you all do the same. From what I have seen, this is possibly a threat to the 5 great nations. This sounds hard to believe, I know, but for your village's sake please trust me and my intuition. I think we should all meet up and discuss this matter. It most definitely earns our attention. Whenever it concerns someone like Orochimaru, I believe anything deserves our attention. Hokage of Konoha and friend. Naruto Uzumaki. Back in Konoha. What do you mean he is dead? Naruto asked as he looked at Anko. Anko bowed. Hokage-sama, he never said anything, we couldn't get anything from him, it was like he wasn't even human, he just kept saying the word, kill, over and over again until he died, Anko explained. Naruto sighed as he sat down. Naruto decided not to dwell on the matter. Alright, thank you Anko, you may go, Naruto said as he sat down. Anko nodded as she left the office. Naruto sighed as he sat back. Man, you really came up with something unique this time, Orochimaru, Naruto said as he got up and left his office for the day. Konoha's shinobi were running themselves ragged as they all prepared for the arrival of the 4 other Kage from their respective villages. Naruto had made the announcement to everyone and told them to prepare for this event. Some of the ninja were assigned to cleaning up a room for the meeting place and others were assigned to make rooms for the Kage to stay. As everyone worked, Naruto and Tenten were in the office. So everything is ready for their appearance, Ten-chan? Naruto asked. Tenten smiled as she gave her report. Yes, Naruto-kun, Gaara, Onoki, Mei, and Raikage are coming in about 3 hours, Tenten said to him. Naruto smiled as he nodded. Thank you Ten-chan, please keep me informed, Naruto said as he continued to do his paperwork. Yes, my husband, Tenten said as left in a flash of lighting. Naruto smiled. Show off, he said in his thoughts as he continued to do the necessary paperwork. As Naruto did his paperwork, the former members of Rookie 9 were also busy. With Sakura and Tsunade. Sakura, get all the necessary supplies in order, Tsunade said as she rushed through the hospital. Yes, Tsunade-sama, Sakura said as she brought a box of medical supplies to the appropriate room. Both medics were straightening up the hospital in case Orochimaru did something incredibly stupid while the Kage were in Konoha. Both tended to the place at a fast pace. Meanwhile, with the others, Shikamaru and Ino were setting up the places for the Kage to stay. The various hotels they went to opted to house the leaders of the villages for as long as everyone saw fit. As Shikamaru and Ino got the paperwork done, they both smiled and left. Man, doing all of this is so troublesome, Shikamaru said with a yawn. Ino smiled. Is there anything not troublesome to you? She asked. Shikamaru looked at the sky. She isn't, Shikamaru whispered to himself. Ino turned to him. Who isn't? She asked. Shikamaru blushed as he turned his head away. Nothing, forget it, he said as he turned his head away from her. Ino giggled as she decided to let the problem go. Oh well, okay, let's go report to Naruto, Ino said. Shikamaru nodded as they ran off to Naruto. Everyone was immensely busy as they all prepared for the arrival of the Kage. 3 hours later, at the entrance of Konoha, 8 people showed up in a group. As the guard looked up, they all became wide-eyed. So it seems Naruto summoned everyone to this meeting, Gaara said as they all smiled. Well, if it involves Orochimaru, I am glad he did, Onoki said as he walked. I wonder what this is all even about, Mei said as they all walked closer to the gates. If he summoned us, this will be a big problem, Raikage answered to them. As they all neared the gates, they saw the guards come up to them and bow. Kages, we are glad for your appearance in Konoha. Hokage-sama would like you to come to the conference room in 30 minutes, they explained. Everyone nodded that they understood and went into the village. Soon the people met Neji and Hinata. Greeting Kage, we have been assigned to guide you to the places you will be staying, they both said as they bowed. The Kage smiled as they nodded and followed the group to their destinations. As everyone walked, the Kage took in the appearance of the village and its surroundings. The kid sure knows how to make a village sparkle, Raikage said to them. Everyone nodded in agreement. The streets and building were a lot neater and cleaner than any time the previous Kage were in charge. Hi, Naruto-sama has made the village a great one. We hardly have any real criminal activity and we have made plenty of breakthroughs in jutsu under his guidance, Neji explained. You don't have to tell me that, Onoki said with a smile. Neji and Hinata nodded as they came up to the first hotel. Here is your hotel, Tsuchikage-sama, Hinata said as she pointed to the building. It was relatively short, but it was also very modest and noble. Onoki smiled. He enjoyed the simple things. He didn't really care for anything big or fancy. Thank you. Well, I will go now, Onoki said as he and his guardian entered the building. After Onoki, the group continued to walk. Soon after, they came up to Mei's house. Here is your place, Mizukage-sama, Neji said to her. Mei looked up to see the place was a hot spring hotel. Mei squealed. She always enjoyed hot springs. They were her favorite pastime. Yay, hot spring, Mei said as she ran inside. Her guardian's sweat dropped as he went inside. Reikage and Gaara also sweat dropped as Neji and Hinata explained. Naruto-sama has given everyone hotels based on their likes and dislikes, Neji asked. Both Kage lit up in understanding. Oh, so that is what it is, Gaara said as they all continued to walk. As the group neared the next hotel, everyone looked a little shocked. Here is Reikage-sama's hotel, Hinata answered. Reikage looked up and smiled. His place was a hotel with all the flashy lights around the district. His hotel sort of pub-like, but still maintained the appearance of a good and fancy hotel. That kid continues to amaze, Reikage said as he walked inside. Gaara nodded his head in shame as he saw the Reikage go around the place like a little kid. Can he maintain some form of dignity? Gaara said with a strained smile. Hinata and Neji laughed as they took Gaara to his place. After a few minutes of walking they came up to Gaara's place. Here is Gaara-sama's hotel, Neji said to him. Gaara looked up. His hotel looked like any other on the outside, but on the inside the hotel had the makings of a regular Suna home. It was very spacious and housed people who loved Suna, but couldn't move there. It also had chefs who specialized in food particular to Suna Shinobi tastes. Gaara showed a rare smile as he walked in. Thank you very much, Naruto Uzumaki, Gaara said as he walked inside. Him and his companion, Tamari, went inside to unload their stuff and get ready for the meeting. All Kage were happy with their hotels as they rested for a while until the meeting. Neji and Hinata ran to tell Naruto about the progress. Back with Naruto. Naruto had finished his paperwork and almost decided to leave the room until he saw Tsunade come in and greet him. Oh Naruto, are you about to go? Tsunade asked. Naruto looked up and smiled. Yeah, I was about to, but let me guess, I can't write. Naruto asked with a sigh. Tsunade smiled and nodded with a feeling of pity. No, you can't Naruto, not until your meeting with the Kage is over, Tsunade said to him. Naruto slumped in his seat. I figured, oh well, it comes with the job, Naruto said as he sat in his chair. Boy, I know that is the truth, Tsunade said as she rubbed her head. Naruto thought over the meeting and looked up to smile. Tsunade, I would like you to join this meeting, Naruto said blatantly to her. Tsunade near jumped at his statement, but calmly answered. But why Naruto? She asked in confusion. Naruto smiled and looked up. As a part of the Sannin Yu and Jiraiya no Orochimaru the best, so I need your input in this, Naruto explained. Tsunade sighed. Is this a request or an order? She asked. Naruto still smiled. It is a request, but I can make it an order if you want, Naruto said. Tsunade silently cursed her mouth as she turned to Naruto and nodded that she would be there, not that she had a choice anyway. Alright, I will be there, Tsunade grumbled as she walked away. Thank you, Haim, Naruto said to her. Tsunade grumbled some more. Yeah, she said as she walked out. Soon after Neji and Hinata walked in. Naruto, all the Kage are present and are enjoying their hotels, Neji said to him. Naruto nodded and thanked the two Hyugas for their assistance. Thank you very much, you two. You may go now, enjoy the rest of the day, Naruto said to them. Both bowed and exited the building. Soon after them, Naruto's beautiful brunette wife came into his office. Well, Naruto-kun, are you ready for the meeting? Tenten asked him. Naruto smiled as he got up. No, I need some encouragement, Naruto said as he leaned to kiss his wife. Tenten smiled as she submitted to her husband's powerful lips. The same lips that loved her from the start of their relationship to now. She always loved the tender moments that they had together. As Naruto explored his wife's mouth, he could feel her body heat up from the pleasure of the moment. Naruto almost fully submitted to the moment until he looked at the time. He saw the time was close. As he deepened the kiss a little more, he decided to come out of it, seeing as how Tenten was going to. As he separated from her after the kiss, he could see her pout a bit. "Don't worry, Ten-chan. When the meeting is over, I will make you a very happy wife," Naruto said with a smile. Tenten blushed at what he was suggesting in his words. "I would really enjoy that, my husband," Tenten said as she smiled. "Well, let's go to the meeting," Naruto said to her with his arm out. Tenten chuckled. "We'll follow my husband anywhere," Tenten said as she grabbed his arm and they walked out the door. Conference room. As the Kage and their companions waited for Naruto to show, they looked over the room. The room was medium-sized. More than enough room to seat everyone in the room. As they sat, the door opened. Everyone looked to see Tsunade come in and take a seat. "Tsunade, why are you here?" Gaara asked. Tsunade sighed. "Apparently Naruto needs me here for this meeting," Tsunade said with her head on the table. Everyone laughed as they waited. After 5 minutes, Naruto came into the room with Tenten on his arm. Everyone laughed at the display of affection as Naruto led Tenten to a seat and sat her down. Raikage spoke. "I see you two lovey-dovey like before you got married," Raikage said with a laugh. "Of course, and why shouldn't we be?" Naruto asked. Everyone nodded and spoke. "Who knows?" Mei said. As the pleasantries and hellos were done, everyone got down to business. "All right, Naruto-san, about this threat to the villages," Onoki said. Everyone's expression turned serious as Naruto began. "Okay, let us begin," Naruto said. Everyone nodded as he put his elbows on the table. "I want to call to everyone attention that there is definitely something wrong. A week ago I sent 2 of my ninja on a mission to deal with some bandits. It seemed easy enough, but they both came back with a look of terror on their faces. They told me to follow with a group of Jonin. I complied and followed. As I arrived to the scene, I saw a green mist envelop the town. It wasn't normal at all. There was an infinite number of bodies on the ground, all dead. I saw that the mist had seemed to eat away at a person's body and chakra as I saw someone's body turn to bones in a few minutes. Pretty soon after that, I saw a ninja of unknown origin appear from the mist. The way he walked was normal either. He seemed to be either controlled or was a mindless killing machine. As I questioned the man at a distance, he only said one word the whole time. He kept saying kill over and over again. He suddenly charged me. I easily captured him with the help of my Jonin, Anko. As we took him back, I told Anko to interrogate him for answers, but she told me he said nothing until he died. We got no information from him, and this incident has left a bad taste in my mouth since the first time I saw that mist," Naruto said as he finished his explanation. The room was in total silence as the Kage tried to process the information. "That certainly is unusual," Onoki said to break the silence as he thought. "I know, this isn't bandits, but a green mist like that seems weird," Mei said. "That is why this is strange to me. Nothing like this has ever happened before," Naruto said to them. "So this man, from the way you described things, this sounds like it is the work of Orochimaru," Gaara said to the group. "But does a jutsu like that exist?" Raikage asked. "If there is, then it is a forbidden jutsu," Tsunade answered. Naruto turned to Tsunade. "Tsunade, you have been with Orochimaru, do you know of anything like this?" Naruto asked. Tsunade turned to Naruto. "I am afraid I don't know anything about something like this," Tsunade said to them. Naruto put his head down. "But I jutsu know that he was obsessed with immortality and the like," Tsunade said to them. "So this might be him striving for immortality again?" Mei asked. "I don't know, but that might be a reason for this," Tsunade answered. Naruto looked up in concern as he faced everyone else. Gaara noticed Naruto's reaction and seemed worried also. "Is something wrong, Naruto?" Gaara asked. Everyone turned to Naruto, who sighed. "Sorry, Gaara. I just thought about the disturbing news I got a few days ago," Naruto said to him. "What was this news, Naruto? Is it anything to do with this meeting?" Reikage asked. Naruto nodded. Yes, well, I will say it, Naruto said. Everyone gave him their attention as he explained. A few days ago, since the man's body was dead, I decided to send him to the morgue to be buried, Naruto said. But as one of the people in the morgue noticed, they notified the hospital. Soon a doctor came down and went over the body. He found something unreal. As he came to me with the problem, I couldn't help but wonder about what he just told me, Naruto said to the group. And what did he say to you, Naruto? Tenten asked in her seat. Naruto breathed hard and continued. He told me that the man we fought had died 2 to 3 years ago, Naruto said to them. Naruto had just told the cage the most distressing and disturbing news they had ever heard. Everyone reacted to his news with complete shock. What did you say? Reikage asked, trying to fathom the impossibility of what Naruto had just told them. But that's impossible, Mei said as she sat wide-eyed. There is no way that can be possible, Onoki said to him. Naruto turned to the Tsuchikage with a serious face. I won't lie to you guys, this is the truth, Naruto said to them. Everyone rested their elbows on the table. Something that seemed impossible for anyone was just proven with great fear. The guy you faced had been dead for 2 to 3 years, wow, Onoki said, still in shock. Naruto nodded his head. I know this is a lot to take in for all of us, but after hearing that I now know that something is definitely wrong here, Naruto said. Everyone nodded in agreement. This was no longer a simple issue, but it was a big problem. If Orochimaru is able to resurrect the dead, then he could have an army against the nations, Gaara said to the group. Everyone was now in shock. Gaara had made a very valid point. People die every day. If Orochimaru masters this jutsu, he will become unstoppable, Reikage said with his fist on the table. We need to act on something, guys. This is now a matter that even requires the cage to take on missions, Naruto managed to say. Everyone nodded in agreement. Having the cage take missions hasn't happened for a very long time. There had never been a good enough reason for a cage to take a mission, but now Naruto and his group had to accept that leaving such things to their shinobi alone would be impossible. Okay, so let's end this meeting, then we will. Naruto was interrupted by a sudden shinobi barging into the conference room. To say everyone was mad and shocked was an understatement. Furious at the outburst, Reikage spoke. How could you barge in here? Have you no respect for the cage? Reikage said to the frightened leaf shinobi. Naruto put his arm on Reikage's shoulder, causing him to relax. It's alright, Reikage. What is it? Naruto said to the messenger. As the messenger spoke, he gave very bad news to the unsuspecting group. I am sorry for this intrusion, Hokage-sama, but this is a big problem, he said to Naruto. Naruto walked over to the man who had a scroll in his hand. Naruto took the scroll and opened it to see the contents. Naruto's eyes widened and his mouth hung in the air. Oh no, everyone, you must hurry to your villages now, Naruto said to them. Why, what is the problem? Mei said, clearly worried. Naruto looked up from the letter to relay the dreadful news. Tsuchikage, Kazekage, Reikage, Mizukage, all of your villages have been razed by the mist that I just told you about, Naruto carefully explained. The room suddenly turned silent. The cage were shocked. At this moment, their villages were being attacked. Naruto slammed his hand on the table. Damn it, Orochimaru must have planned that I would hold a conference and set this up. Damn, Naruto said to himself. Reikage stood up and put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. It's alright, Uzumaki-san. There is no way you could have known. Orochimaru has always been tricky. Well, I have to go. Thank you for this information, Reikage said as he ran out the door to get his things. One by one the cage left the room to gather all of their things for the fast trip back. Naruto held out his hand to his wife. She took it and got up. Tsunade got up from her seat and ran with Naruto and Tenten. As the trio ran out the room, they ran outside. What Naruto saw was pure disastrous. Outside the Hokage mansion. No, not that. Kuso. Naruto said as he saw the mist enter his village. He saw some of his civilians on the ground as they took in the toxic air. Tenten was in utter shock. The village had now been overtaken by the green mist. Naruto saw all people turn to nothing but bones before his eyes. Naruto ran through the village. He was not happy with this at all. Naruto looked at the sky. Anbu, get over here right now. Naruto shouted as three Anbu showed their presence to him. What is going on here? Why wasn't I warned about this? Naruto asked them. Hokage-sama, it seems that some of our village watchers were assassinated, allowing the mist to seep in, they explained. Naruto clutched his hands so much that they bled. Get all remaining people to an evacuation facility on the double, Naruto commanded. The Anbu bowed as they ran to follow his orders. In the distance, he saw the figures of the cage and their companions leaving the village. Be safe, you guys, Naruto said as he turned and ran throughout the village. Naruto saw some people still alive and thanked Kami that they were. He made a few cage bunshin as he helped his shinobi evacuate the people. Naruto looked to see that even his shinobi were suffering from the mist. He saw some of his ninja turn to bone as he helped the people. Naruto couldn't take any more and clasped his hands together. Naruto turned to Tenten. Ten-chan, tell everyone to brace themselves, Naruto said to her. Tenten nodded as she brought her hands together. Because of the electrical signals in the brain, Tenten was able to use telepathy or was able to shut down the brain and its signals. As she connected to everyone in Konoha, she yelled. Everyone brace yourselves, Tenten yelled. Suddenly people all over the village got down on the ground. Naruto-kun, I have warned everyone, Tenten said anxiously to her husband. Naruto smiled. Good, you get down to Ten-chan, Naruto told her. Tenten followed his orders and got down. As Naruto made sure everyone was safe, he said his jutsu. Fuinjutsu. Ten no Shoheki, seal jutsu, barrier of the heavens, Naruto yelled. Suddenly a white light enveloped his entire body. As the light formed around his body, Naruto kept his hands together to keep the focus into jutsu. The light expanded around and got brighter. Suddenly the light formed as sanctuary that covered the entire Konoha village. The cage from where they were running turned around to see the bright light. Everyone marveled the light as they ran back. I wish I could do that, Raikage said as he increased his speed. Soon the mist was being pushed out of the village and was kept at a distance from Konoha. Naruto released his hands. He suddenly fell to the ground. Okay, tell everyone it is fine to move now, Naruto said with heavy panting. Tenten got up and ran to Naruto's aid. Naruto-kun, are you okay? Tenten asked, concerned for her husband's life. Naruto smiled as he leaned on his wife's lap. I am fine, Ten-chan, just a little exhausted. This seal takes a large amount of chakra to use, Naruto said as he smiled. Soon people were gathered around their Hokage, concerned. Hokage-sama, are you alright? Someone asked. Naruto got up. Yeah, I am fine. Listen everyone, the seal I have put up will hold this mist back for a total of 5 months. My shinobi and I will be taking more critical missions to overcome this threat. I want all civilians to return to their homes. I promise I will get to the bottom of this. Naruto proclaimed. Everyone nodded and returned to their homes. Naruto smiled as he saw families return to their homes with smiles. The damage to the village was minimal. The mist hit only a few people. It was nothing too serious to the village, but this sent a fire to Naruto. He was now determined to stop this threat. He walked back to the Hokage mansion. As he entered the mansion, he summoned some shinobi as well as the rookie 9. Naruto was silent for a few minutes, but managed to say his orders. No one, and I repeat, no one is to leave this village. Until I have Shizune, Sakura, Tsunade, and all the medical officers of Konoha come up with some kind of resistance to this mist, I want no one outside of this seal. Naruto demanded. Everyone nodded and obeyed. Naruto dismissed everyone and sat in his chair. Only Shizune, Sakura, and Tsunade remained in his office. Do you three think you can make a cure? Naruto asked. Everyone looked at him. We aren't sure, Naruto, but we will try our hardest. I am the best medic nin in the world. I can find a cure, Tsunade said to him. Naruto smiled as he sat back in his chair. I know you can Tsunade Bachan, thank you, please do your best, Naruto said to them. The three medics nodded and bowed on their way out. As they went out, Tenten came into the room. Naruto looked up. I can't believe this has happened to us already, Naruto said to his wife. Tenten nodded. I know, don't worry Naruto-kun, I know we can beat this, Tenten said to her husband. Naruto could only smile. Even in these situations, Tenten could still make him smile. Naruto got up from his seat and walked over to his wife. Naruto cupped her chin as he stared and marveled at the beauty that was his wife. Tenten smiled as she stared at her handsome kami-like husband. Tenten, thank you. I love you so much, I could never get through this without my wife, Naruto said to her. Tenten looked up and smiled. She raised herself forward as she brought her lips to his. Naruto was initially shocked, but quickly recovered. He wrapped his arms around her and submitted to her. Tenten deepened her kiss on her husband. As she managed to bring him to the floor, Tenten sat in between Naruto's legs as she continued to reach the deepest parts of his mouth. Naruto could feel his sense fade as he continued to be dominated by his lover. Feeling a bit powerless, Naruto decided to surprise his wife for a bit. Naruto managed to push Tenten until he was on top of her on the floor. Sorry Ten-chan, but I am going to be in control here, Naruto said as he smiled. Tenten looked up at her husband and blushed from their heated moment. She smiled as she gave him a quick kiss. Then control me my husband. Let me know how much you love me. Tenten said as Naruto nodded. He began to kiss her neck and caress her body in a way that made her shiver. Tenten moaned as she felt the pleasure wash over her. Naruto's tongue pushed through Tenten's throat. Their tongue danced in their mouths and they felt the pleasure of their lover over their bodies. Naruto moved his hand and brought it down to his wife's stomach. He began to rub the soft spot as he got a pleasant moan as a response. Tenten let her voice escape her mouth as she tried to contain the pleasure. Naruto broke their kiss and began to kiss her neck and brought himself down to her chest. Naruto suddenly realized what they were about to do and broke the connection much to Tenten's disappointment. Ah, why aren't we continuing Naru-kun? Tenten asked. Naruto smiled. Oh, don't worry Ten-chan, we will continue, Naruto said to her. Naruto formed some hand signs. He put up a privacy seal so no sounds could be heard from the room and he reinforced the door with chakra and locked it. No, let me continue to love my wife, Naruto said to her. Tenten laid down and stretched out her body to Naruto. Please my husband, love me, I want my husband to love all of me, Tenten said sounding desperate. Naruto smiled as he continued his pleasure. He continued to kiss her chest as he took off her shirt and threw it on the couch. Naruto looked at the red bra Tenten was wearing. It made him so aroused that he played with her while the bra was still on. Naruto could see Tenten twist and turn from the pleasure. If that wasn't an indication of her pleasure, then the moans that Tenten was shouting were causing her to feel her lover's gentle finger on her body. Naruto removed her bra and stared at her. Naruto smiled as he licked the two of her to get a good reaction. Tenten easily arched back with her mouth open. Naruto brought his mouth down and started to suck his wife's tits. Tenten screamed in pleasure as her husband put his warm mouth over her sensitive area. One of Naruto's hand went down as it was into Tenten's pants. Oh, and Naruto-kun, it feels great, Tenten said as she felt his touch. Naruto smiled knowing he was doing a good job. I am glad it does, Ten-chan, Naruto said to her. Naruto stopped sucking her and brought his both down as he kissed all over her body until he came between her legs. Naruto smiled as he took off his wife's pants and threw them on the couch. Naruto looked at the red panties and took them off also. Tenten blushed as she realized she was in front of her husband. She saw Naruto take off his official clothing and show his muscular body to his wife. Oh Kami, I love his body, Tenten said in her thoughts. Naruto smiled as he knelt down and like her private place. Naruto pushed his tongue into her chambers and let the ecstasy wash over her. Oh, and Naruto-kun, Tenten said as she tried to hold out from his pleasure. Naruto began to his tongue out and licked her. Tenten twitched from the sudden rush of ecstasy. Feeling too much pleasure, Tenten released inside her husband's mouth. "Oh Naruto-kun," Tenten said as her sweet juices flowed into her lover's mouth. Naruto managed to get all of the juice and swallowed it all. Very tasty Ten-chan," Naruto told her. Tenten blushed as she decided to get her revenge. As Naruto was distracted, Tenten pounced on him and stared at his manhood. "Oh, it seems happy to see me," Tenten said as she grasped the tool. Naruto was about to saw something, but gasped as Tenten licked his hardness, sending him to a world of pleasure. Tenten began to like to top of his as she looked at his reaction. Naruto was twitching from Tenten's technique. She even tried to deep-throat him a few times. Tenten then bobbed her head up and down as she felt her husband's tighten. "Oh, something is coming," Tenten said as she moved faster. Naruto had too much and released inside his wife. "Oh Ten-chan," Naruto screamed as he shot off inside her mouth. Tenten swallowed the thick liquid and looked at her husband. "It's delicious, my husband, so sweet for me," Tenten said in a way. Naruto smiled as he got closer to Tenten. Tenten laid on her back as Naruto got on top of her. "Ten-chan, I love you, my wife," Naruto said to her. Tenten blushed as she looked at her husband. "Naruto-kun, I love you, my husband," Tenten said to him. Naruto pushed inside her as Tenten brast for the shock of pleasure. As Naruto got inside her, he felt the wetness of her walls close in on his. He took a moment to take in the pleasure. Soon he started to move in and out as he gave Tenten her pleasure. Tenten grasped her husband's body for support and moaned as she was continuously filled with his hardness. Naruto smiled as he saw his wife's erotic face. "You like it, Ten-chan," Naruto said as he pushed and pulled his in and out of her wetness. Tenten could barely form words, but tired. "It feels so good, Naruto-kun, it is incredible," Tenten said to him. Naruto smiled as he brought her up. He sat as she was on top of his hips. Naruto began to push his hips upward to continue the pleasure. Tenten was close. Naruto always seemed to be able to get her to come at the right moment. She could feel him hitting her cervix as she felt the pleasure. Naruto-kun, I am close, come with me, Tenten said to him. Naruto smiled and nodded. Alright Ten-chan, Naruto said to her. As he gave her a final thrust, she released her juices. Naruto-kun, she yelled. Ten-chan, Naruto yelled. Both released as they fell to the ground exhausted. Tenten turned to her husband as she sweated. I love you, Naruto-kun, I will make you happy, she said to him. Naruto turned to her. I am already happy, the one thing that could make me happier is having you stay by me forever, he said to her. I would like that, she said to him. Suddenly Tenten turned to him. I hope you're not done, Naruto-kun, Tenten purred into his ear. Naruto turned to her and smiled. You know how good my stamina is, Naruto told her. Yes I do, so care for another round, Tenten said, seducing her husband. Just try not to faint from the pleasure, Naruto said as he attacked her. Both went through another session in the secrecy of the mansion. They continued to be the couple for a few hours instead of the Hokage and his advisor. Even with disaster at the moment, Tenten could still get Naruto to lighten up and give her and himself a good time. The seal of the heavens barrier that the Rokudaime Hokage placed over the village was still in effect. It provided a temporary haven away from the mist that laid in wait outside. Life in the village was a little tense. People were happy to be away from the unknown substance, but the lack of trading and the diminishing of supplies was starting to get to Konoha. With the mist outside, it made traveling and trading impossible. With each passing day, Konoha, Suna, Kumo, Kiri, and Iwa's supplies were dying. Naruto sat in his office doing some leftover paperwork as he thought to himself. Man, this isn't good. Our supplies are dying and people are complaining about the lack of some food in the village, Naruto said to himself as he did paperwork. I need to send someone on a mission, but who would want to go? Naruto thought. He didn't want to send anyone into the mist not knowing if they would return or not. He knew that because of training a shinobi could withstand the mist for a long duration, but they weren't immune to it. Naruto rubbed his head as he tried to make sense of his standings for a mission. Naruto sighed, seeing as he had no choice. Well, I hope they understand, Naruto said to himself. Around this time Tenten came in to check on her husband. Naruto-kun, how are you doing? Tenten asked. Naruto paled a bit. Oh hey Ten-chan, I am fine, be right back, Naruto said as he tried to run out the office. Tenten noticed and grabbed the back of his collar and shut the door. Tenten dropped her husband on the floor and sweetly smiled as she inched closer to him. Naruto felt a sudden chill down his spine as his wife neared closer to him with one of her favorite kunai which seemed to glimmer in the room light. Naruto-kun, is there something you aren't telling me? Tenten asked as a kunai full of lightning appeared in her hand. Naruto started to back up. Now Ten-chan, don't do anything rash, I'm not hiding a thing dadbayo, Naruto said. He slowly backed up until he hit the wall leaving no escape. Tenten's kunai shined brighter as she walked over to her husband slowly. It must be something if you are so scared of me right now, Tenten said to him with a smile. Naruto shook his head and said to her. Well, threatening your husband with that kunai would cause this reaction to any sane husband, Naruto vouched in his defense. Tenten stopped and had to admit that was a point. She decided to calm down. Alright Naruto-kun, what is the problem? She asked. Naruto sighed as he sat back in his seat. We are coming to a complaint on the shortage of food, Naruto told her. Tenten nodded as she listened. I need to send 3 people on a mission to forge for supplies, Naruto told her. And to investigate a strange building that was reported having sound nins in it, Naruto said to her. Tenten nodded. She knew not many people would want to go out into that mist with the possibility of not coming back. Suddenly Tenten smirked, which made Naruto flinch. Let me go, I can lead this mission, I am the second strongest in Konoha, Tenten said with a smile. Naruto stared as her, and stared more. Are you sure Ten-chan? You might not come back, Naruto told her. Tenten smiled. I will come back Naruto-kun, I won't leave you, she said to him. Naruto smiled and reluctantly agreed. Alright, you may go, Naruto told her. Tenten smiled. And I know 2 others who would be more than happy to accompany me, she said to a confused Naruto. Meet me at the gates at 2 o'clock, she said as she ran out leaving a confused Naruto in his office. 2 o'clock p.m. in front of the Konoha gates. Alright, let's go with the full power of youth, Lee said as he grabbed his backpack. Tenten dropped her head. Lee, enough with the youth crap, please, Tenten said with a scroll on her back and a backpack. Please Tenten, if he was going to stop he would have done it already, Neji said to her. Tenten grumbled. Yeah, I guess you are right, Tenten said to him. A blaze of fire suddenly appeared and soon died down showing the Rokudaime Hokage. He looked up to see the original members of Team Guy. Oh, so this is the team you wanted, Naruto said with a smile. Tenten smiled back. Yep. Everyone's been wanting to stretch their legs anyway, she told her husband. Naruto-san, I see you are doing good also, Lee said to him. Naruto rubbed his head. Yeah, I suppose, though this mist isn't what I wanted in the future, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded in agreement. Don't work Naruto, we will take care of this mission, and should we fail I will do 300 laps around Konoha on my hands, and if I can't do that I will. Guy was interrupted by a hand on his mouth. Yeah, Guy-sensei, we got it, Tenten said to him. Naruto laughed as he walked forward. I am guessing Tenten told you the mission details? Naruto asked. Everyone nodded. Alright, I only want you guys gone for 1 week, no longer than that, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded. Naruto clasped his hands and made a door to the barrier. The group walked through and Naruto closed it. As they disappeared, Naruto watched. Be safe Ten-chan, Naruto said to himself as he walked back to his office. Well, time to conquer the dreaded paperwork, Naruto said as he disappeared. With Team Guy, Tenten and her team were racing through the trees at an alarming rate. Everyone tried to hold their breath as they passed through the mysterious mist. As they jumped through the trees, everyone was suddenly stopped by Tenten. Guy-sensei, look at that, Tenten said at a town. Guy and the rest of the team looked. Everyone was shocked at the town. The mist, it's decaying the town, Lee said. Neji nodded and activated his Byakugan. I can see the stems of the mist, they are devouring everything from human bodies to the homes people live in, Neji said. Everyone jumped down and out of the trees. Alright, let us go and investigate, Guy said to the group. Everyone nodded as they walked into the decaying town. The smell of decaying bodies showered the town in a disgusting stench that made everyone cover their noses. Damn, this stinks, Tenten said as she now regretted opening her mouth to accept this mission. No kidding, Neji said also. As everyone walked, they came up to a giant crate with giant boxes and barrels. The group looked around to spot anyone and saw no one. Tenten moved to the crate and silently opened it. As one of the doors fell, everyone gasped. Food, water, ninja tools, supplies, and lots of other stuff, Guy said to them. Everyone was very happy. They completed the first objective of the mission. Alright, let me seal this, Tenten said as she laid her scroll on the ground. Everyone immediately stuffed the supply into her scroll and fast so it wouldn't be contaminated by the mist. After the sealing was done, Tenten wrapped up the scroll and everyone began their second part of the mission. Alright, according to Naruto-sama, we will have to investigate a building near here, Guy said as the group nodded and walked off. As the group walked, Tenten felt a chill go down her spine and quickly turned around. She saw nothing but a few corpses lying in the streets. Tenten quickened her walking as she sweated. Oh, okay guys, let's hurry up and do this mission so we can go back, Tenten said as she tried to stay calm. As the team entered the middle of the town, Tenten was feeling more and more anxious. Even though Neji said that no one was here, she felt that they were being watched, or even worse, stalked. GG guys, I think we should be on guard for anything, Tenten said. Lee laughed. Haha, wow Tenten, are you getting scared because of this town? Lee asked. Tenten looked at him. Of course not, but we should hurry, Tenten said to them. Neji could feel a weird vibe also. I agree with Tenten, we should get mauve. Neji was interrupted by a sudden scream. Ah, someone help me, said the mystery person. Tenten and the group ran off in the direction of the voice and stayed hidden. They saw a man ran down the streets, but they didn't see what was chasing him, the mist was too thick. Neji used his Byakugan to see that the man had entered a dead end. What Neji saw made him gasp. Help me, I don't want to die, please help me, the person cowered as they tried to find a way out. Suddenly a woman who was walking weirdly showed up and walked closer to him. Stay back, don't come any closer, the person yelled. As the woman came closer, she appeared to look up and see the person. Suddenly she ran at the person and pounced on them. From the group's view, it seems like the woman was trying to take a bite out of the frightened person. Not I don't wanna die, someone please, help they yelled as the woman took a chunk of flesh of their skin. The woman then aimed for the person's neck and the person's screams filled the town. Please, someone the person stopped as blood gurgled out of their mouth and they fell over dead. The woman continued to eat at the person's intestines in the alleyway. Everyone was appalled by what they saw. Guy held his stomach, Lee was in shock, Neji was trembled and Tenten vomited on the roof. What the hell was that? Neji said to Guy. I don't know, but this is very bad, Guy said as everyone got up to leave. As they headed back to their previous designation. As they reached the middle of town, they saw another person come out of the mist. The person looked up and growled. They ran past the group and charged at Tenten. Tenten screamed as the person pounced on her. Tenten struggled to get the person off. What is this person? Get off me, she said as she flipped the person into a building. The building came crashing down on top of the person, killing them. All the noise attracted more attention until Team Guy was completely surrounded by undead people. This shouldn't even be possible, Neji said as he looked at the sheer number of them. I knew we should have hurried, Tenten said to herself. Neji used his Byakugan again to see into the people. No way, he said. What is it? Lee asked. The mist. It is reanimating the bodies of the dead and is bringing them to life, Neji said, shell-shocked over this incident. Team Guy back up only to see the undead follow them. Are we going to have to fight? Lee asked. Guy nodded. I do believe so, Guy said as he charged the group of undead with a fiery kick. Dynamic entry, he said as he plowed through the undead. Oh well, let's get started, Neji said as he got into his Juyuken stance. Some of the undead charged Neji as he smirked. Cadent rotation, Neji said as he rotated his body and knocked the undead away from him. Lee charged the rest of the crowd and launched his feet at the moaning crowd of undead. Konoha Senpu, Leaf Whirlwind, Lee said as he jumped in the air and using his feet blew away a big number of the people away. Tenten cracked her knuckles as thunderclouds formed in the skies. Tenten had an electric current in her palm and sent it to the sky. Raiden. Kaminari Ryu no Hoko, lightning style. Roar of the Thunder Dragon, Tenten yelled as a beautiful thunder dragon came out of the skies and struck Tenten. Tenten absorbed the lighting and opened her mouth. The lightning shot out of her mouth at the undead and obliterated a straight line through the crowd. As she stopped, she looked at the chaos. Wow, and it was an experimental jutsu also. Not bad, she said to herself. Everyone finished some of their respective groups and backflipped to Tenten. Nice job, Tenten. Yush, everyone run through the line, Guy said as he ran forward. Lee followed Guy. Neji followed and Tenten stayed in the middle of the crowd, distracting some of the undead. As Guy, Lee and Neji got away, they waited for Tenten. Tenten, what are you doing? Let's go, Lee said to her. Tenten nodded. Coming, Tenten said as she took out a kunai. Guy-sensei duck, she said as she threw the kunai at him. Guy ducked and the kunai dug into a house. Tenten activated her lightning armor. I might surprise them. Raiden. Kaminari Rasu, lightning style. Thunder rush, Tenten said as she disappeared in a flash of light and reappeared in front of the group. Tenten looked at them and smiled. Everyone dropped their mouths to the ground as she grabbed her kunai. I will explain later, but pick up your mouths and run, Tenten said as she sprinted off. Guy, Lee, and Neji knocked themselves out of their dazes and ran after her, leaving the infected town behind. Tenten and her group had just escaped an infected town full of undead people. This mission was staggering. It had so many impossibilities. As they ran, Tenten slowed up for her group. So does anyone know what the hell that was? Tenten asked. Unfortunately for her, no one could give her an answer. It was obvious that the town they went to had left an unwanted impression on them. I wonder how many more towns are like that, Lee said to them. Neji wondered the same thing. I don't know, but we have to hurry and complete this mission, Tenten said to them. Everyone nodded as they stepped up their pace. Everyone swiftly moved through the trees as they came up the designated building. The building was quite tall. It seems like either a rich family's house or a building for council meetings. Regardless, this was the place and everyone readied themselves. As they descended from the trees and landed in the plains. As they landed, everyone made the notion to be silent. As they neared the building, Tenten opened the door. Tenten peeked inside to see that the place was completely dark, giving it a creepy air about it. As Tenten went inside, her thoughts wandered. I think next time I will keep my mouth shut. What my husband calls for a mission like this, Tenten said as the door creaked open. She motioned for everyone to follow, seeing that the place was clear. Everyone nodded as they went inside. Everyone took a minute to take in the structure of the building. Damn, this place is big, Lee said to them. Everyone nodded. This would make a perfect training facility, Guy said to them. Tenten and Neji sweat dropped as Lee took in Guy's every word. Tenten coughed to get their attention. Yeah, well, let's continue that later. Now we have a mission to complete, Tenten said to her group. Yeah, you're right, let's go, Guy said as everyone walked around the building. The mist was still in the air, but it wasn't as bad inside as it was outside. After 20 minutes of walking, everyone decided to rest in the house. Tenten inwardly was against such an idea, but gave up. Everyone unpacked their stuff in a room they found and decided to go to sleep. Tenten put up a lightning barrier in case of any disturbances tonight. Everyone quickly fell asleep as they tried to be cautious of their surroundings. Though despite the creepy noises, they all convinced themselves it was the wind and went to sleep. 2 hours later, 11 o'clock p.m., Neji got up from the snoring of Guy and Lee. His eyes were a little dark, but he tried to go back to sleep. Grar said something outside the door. Neji's eyes shot open as he placed an ear to the door. He heard footsteps in the hallway. He heard something moaning from behind the door. Neji was sweating a little. He had never been unsure of things before, but he felt that this mission was getting more and more dangerous with each passing second. Soon the voice stopped near the door, but still moaned. Neji stayed silent as the noise drew closer to the door. He decided to back away from the door and alert his group. As he backed away, he accidentally stepped on a loose wooden board that made the floor creak. Suddenly the moan became a screech as the noise outside charged the door, trying to break it down. Neji face-palmed himself. "Great, just my luck," he said as he ran to wake Tenten, Guy, and Lee. As he made his way back to the room, Neji shook Guy and Lee awake. Both woke up feeling a bit dreary, but were completely awake when Neji explained the situation. Neji then went to Tenten, who only moaned in her sleep. "Ah, Naruto-kun, one more time, please," Tenten said as she slept. Neji blushed, but wrote it off for later, and shook Tenten awake. Tenten opened her eyes and looked around. "What is it, Neji?" Tenten asked. She then heard banging at the door and became wide-eyed. "Oh, that," Tenten said to them. Everyone packed their stuff as they waited at the door. The noise outside kept banging furiously for about 5 minutes, until it calmed down. Tenten slowly opened the door, only to see that the figure had ran inside and charged Guy. Tenten reacted and let out some chains restricting the being. As everyone focused their eyesight, they saw an undead gnashing at Guy, trying to get a big piece out of him. Neji activated his Jiyuken and stuck the being in the heart. Soon the being's head went down as it moaned. Neji thought he took care of it, when its face got up and threw out a bite at Neji. Neji fell back because the bite was only a few inches from his face. Tenten used a kunai and took the being's head off. As the body fell to the ground, Neji tried to regain his composure. "Why didn't my Jiyuken work on that thing?" Neji wondered. Tenten seemed to have a theory on that, but wasn't sure just yet. "Well, in any case, we have to finish this thing now," Tenten said to them. Everyone nodded and left the room. Course Tenten almost quickly changed her mind when she realized what time it was and where they were. "Oh man, to be exploring this late, I hate this," Tenten thought as everyone walked through the building. As they walked up the stairs, they tried to remain out of sight from the zombies, as Lee called them. Everyone turned to see one of them feasting on a human carcass. Tenten almost lost it when she saw that, but tried to move on. As they made it to the top of the building, everyone saw a table and some notes on it. Guy grabbed the notes and motioned for Tenten. Tenten came and took the notes. This is," Tenten said as she scanned the notes. They were plans of some kind for biological chemical agent that, when released into the air, destroys the bodies of the living and brings it back as a zombie with no free will, just a mindless kill machine that feasts on the living. So that mist is the chemical agent, but is there a way to stop it? Tenten wondered. Stuff like this wasn't her cup of tea. She decided to bring it back to Konoha so Tsunade, Sakura, and Shizune could take a look at it. As she sealed the notes along with the food from the town before, she motioned for everyone as they all left the top floor. "Man, after all of that, this is the only thing we got," Lee said in frustration. Everyone nodded. All the undead, the moans, the scares, and all they got was some paper full of notes. Tenten decided not to waste time going down and jumped off the top railing. "Follow me," Tenten said as she plummeted downward. Neji's sweat dropped, but Guy and Lee felt the rush of do it and followed Tenten. With the full power of youth, I jump, Guy said as he plummeted down. Living life on the edge as youth, Lee said as he jumped off also. Neji face-palmed himself. I am surrounded by idiots, he said as he jumped off and followed his teammates. 3 minutes later, Tenten came crashing down, only she didn't expect what had happened. She looked up to see she made a hole in the floor and was inside an underground cavern. Tenten suddenly dodged the rest of her teammates who came plummeting down. Guy made a pose as he landed. Lee came down and made a pose. Neji came down and grumbled about the stupidity of his team. No complaining, Neji. Now we have a new route, let's go. No doubt that noise has those things on us now, Tenten said to them. Zombies. They are called zombies, Lee protested. Tenten sighed. Fine. We have to go before the zombies show up to pick us to pieces, Tenten said in an aggravated tone. Everyone nodded as they walked through the dark cave. As everyone walked, they saw a giant door in the entrance. There was no knob, so opening it simply was out of the question. There must be a way through this door, Tenten said as she felt around the place for a sort of switch or device. Neji offered to assist her as Guy and Lee became guards. As they guarded, Guy and Lee heard screaming and snarling that seemed to be getting closer with each second. Guy and Lee froze after recognizing the noise. Oh no, Guy said as he turned around. TT Tenten, Guy stuttered. Just a second, Guy, Tenten said. BB but Tenten, Lee said in fear. Just a second, she said with a bit more emotion. Will you just turn around? Lee asked, frightened. Tenten had a confused look. Why? She asked. Just do it, Guy said to her. Tenten sighed as she turned around. Okay, what is it? Oh Cammy, no, Tenten said as everyone saw the undead just a few minutes from them. The noise from their jump sent every undead zombie in the room on them. Tenten became wide-eyed. Oh hell no, Tenten said as she charged her arm with lighting. I am not getting eaten, Tenten said as she slammed her arm at the door, causing an explosion. The door fell down as Tenten ran inside. She turned around to see her team still scared. Will you guys snap out of it and run? Tenten said as she ran. Everyone snapped out of it and ran. As they ran, they came to another door that had a knob. Tenten turned it and closed the door. Everyone was huffing as they felt the incredible amount of bodies trying to break the door down. Tenten spoke to herself. Note to self. Learn to keep mouth shut at certain times, Tenten said as she reinforced the door with chakra. Soon the door was strong enough to hold the amount of bodies on the door as the snarling continued. As everyone relaxed, they scanned the room they were in. It had 4 pillars on sticking out of the ground with strange markings and words on each one. Everyone got up and scanned the pillars. The pillars glowed a creepy green. Hey guys, do you think this is the place where the green mist comes from? Lee asked. Everyone shook their heads. I am not sure this is it. There isn't anyone guarding the place, except those creeps outside. This felt too easy, Tenten said to them. Neji nodded. He felt way also. As everyone scanned the pillars, someone came from the shadows. This man had glasses on his face. He wore a gray shirt that was covered by a purple vest for his chest and legs. Well, look at the irony of this situation, the man said. Everyone turned their heads. Tenten being the last. She took a look at the maid and became stunned. It wasn't possible. Who she saw. It's not possible. You can't be alive. I know I killed you, Tenten said with her mouth hanging slightly. I doubt that, Tenten, the man said as he appeared. Tenten's rage flared as she looked at his face. Well then maybe I will just have to send you back to the other side, Kabuto, Tenten said to him. Kabuto came from the mist and smirked. I would like to see you try, he said to her. Tenten's rage flew back up. This time you will be put so far down the earth, even Kami won't be able to find you, Tenten said to him as she charged. Tenten charged Kabuto in a furious manner. As she charged, she hit Kabuto in the stomach and propelled him against a wall. The wall made a giant crack, to where Kabuto's body was. As Kabuto laid on the wall, he smiled. Wow, it didn't hurt at all, Kabuto said as he got off the wall like nothing happened. Tenten was shocked, but managed to keep some composure. Tenten activated her lightning armor and ran at Kabuto. Kabuto couldn't see Tenten before he was hit across the room into another wall. Tenten smirked. How about that? She said to him. Kabuto got up and smiled as he adjusted his glasses. No hurt at all. This mist is so wonderful, Kabuto said to her. Tenten became wide-eyed as she realized the problem. So that is what it is, Tenten said to herself. Kabuto nodded and decided to enlighten her. I will admit it, you did kill me, Tenten, but the beauty of this mist is that it brought me back. Now I can't die, Kabuto said as he manically laughed. Neji sprang forward and let out a palm. Take this, Neji said as he hit Kabuto's chest. Kabuto put his head down for a minute, but sprang back up and laughed. He kicked Neji in the stomach as Neji slid across the floor and gripped his stomach. He was in serious pain as he registered the pain into his body. Damn, it was just a kick, how can it hurt this much? Neji asked. Tenten ran to Neji, but soon met Kabuto's fist as she too fell to the group. Tenten looked up. How is he so strong? He wasn't anywhere near this level when I kill him, Tenten said to herself. Kabuto laughed as he looked down at Tenten. Man, this mist is perfection, the way it doubles everything is amazing, the power, the stamina, the chakra, everything has been doubled, Kabuto said as he laughed. Tenten gasped. No wonder he is this strong, he probably around me 2 years ago, Tenten said with a smile. Tenten got up. That's right, I have improved since then, if he is my level from 2 years ago, then I can kill him again, Tenten said to him. Kabuto looked at her and didn't like her smile. He stomped his foot on her face and tried to crush it. What are you laughing at? He said to her. Tenten gasped then smiled. I am smiling because I actually fell for this genjutsu, Tenten said to him. Kabuto's eyebrow twitched. What genjutsu? This is all real, Kabuto said to her. Tenten got up. You know, now that I concentrate your kick isn't so strong, if anything you influenced my mind to see that it was stronger, Tenten explained. Besides, you were too focused on me and Neji, Tenten said to him and pointed behind him. Kabuto looked behind them and gasped. He saw Guy and Lee punching the pillars with all of their might. The pillars began to crack from the sheer of the taijutsu experts. Hey, get away from those, Shakan no Jutsu, Dead Soul Jutsu, he yelled as 20 bodies appeared out of the room. Tenten snarled and made her hand signs. Undead, zombies, I am sick of these things, Tenten said as she activated her lighting armor again. Be happy, Kabuto, you will die again by the most powerful kunoichi in Konoha, Tenten said to him. Raiden no Bakahatsu, lightning style. Explosion of the thunder god, Tenten yelled as her entire body became surrounded in lighting. Kabuto stepped back. You can't fool me, if you use that it will destroy your teammates along with me, Kabuto said to her. Tenten smiled. My teammates trust me, I will not let them die here, Tenten said to him. This is the next step of my lighting armor, Kabuto. It takes all the power of my armor and converts it into a very powerful explosion, Tenten said as she finished charging. Kabuto stepped back again. I won't die here, not again, he said as he charged her with his chakra scalpel. Tenten smirked. Too late, she said as she opened her eyes. Die, Kabuto. Tenten yelled as the explosion of pure lightning enclosed the room and destroyed the room, and the cavern where all the undead were still moaning. The explosion caused a way out at the top. As Tenten fell to the ground, she looked at the room. Man, I guess that was a little excessive, Tenten said with a smile. She looked around for her teammates as she saw a rock move. That is more than a little, Tenten, Neji said to her. I'm just lucky I used my Kaden at the right time to avert your attack, Neji said to her. Tenten smiled as she saw a giant slab of stone covering one wall. The stone fell down to reveal Guy and Lee. Phew, that was close, Guy said to Lee. I know, Tenten's youth is scary, Lee said to Guy. Tenten's eye twitched. Hey, at least I had a plan. Good thing I anticipated someone in this room, just not him of all people, Tenten said to them. Everyone laughed as they got up. Tenten saw a piece of the stone pillar and grabbed it. She turned to see a whole pillar still standing. She cut the pillar out and sealed it into her scroll. This will make good research, Tenten said to herself. As everyone got up, they jumped out of the cavern and started to walk back to the village. Weren't we here to investigate? Neji asked. Yes, but we ran into an unexpected problem is what we will say, Tenten said to them, causing everyone to smirk. As they walked away, everyone was unaware of the yell someone said as they ran at them. Before everyone could turn around, the man severed their nervous system as everyone fell to the ground. Everyone tried to move, but couldn't. Tenten was kicked and was placed on her back. Tenten looked up and gasped. She saw the last thing that should be there. Kabuto, Tenten managed to say. You bitch, how dare you, Kabuto said as he covered his hands in chakra again. Tenten looked in horror. She looked at her teammates who tried to move, but couldn't. Haha, take this you bitch, Kabuto said as he struck Tenten in the chest. Tenten screamed as she felt the pain in her chest. Kabuto smiled as he took his hand out of her chest. Kabuto liked her blood before he pulled her by the collar. You might want to have that treated, if not you will die in the next 2 hours, Kabuto said to her. Tenten fell to the ground unconscious. Neji, Guy, and Lee looked in horror. Tenten. Neji yelled. Tenten. Guy shouted at the top of his voice. Tenten-san. Lee yelled. Kabuto chuckled at their statements. Haha. Don't worry, I won't leave you here, they will be more than happy to keep you company, Kabuto said as he pointed to some undead who were attracted by Tenten's jutsu. Kabuto smiled as he shushined away. Have fun, he said as he fled. Neji couldn't believe this. He couldn't move at all. Everyone struggled, but they rushed more see the undead charge at them. Neji closed his eyes. Come on, Neji said as he struggled to grab a kunai. Neji stabbed his leg and got up. Yes, I've got control of my body. Hang on guys, Neji said as he stabbed Guy and Lee. Both got up and stretched. Everyone looked at the body of Tenten, she isn't dead yet. Lee decided to risk everything. Guy-sensei, I am sorry, but we need every second we can get, Lee said to Guy. Guy looked at Lee and nodded. Go Lee, Guy said to him. Lee nodded. First gate. Open, he yelled. Lee felt an increase in chakra. Lee went into the first 5 gates and picked up Tenten. I am off Guy-sensei, Lee said as he ran back to Konoha while an unconscious Tenten. Guy nodded. He and Neji went after Lee, but in the 8 gates Lee was too fast. He sped away leaving them in the dust. Guy and Neji nodded as they picked up the pace. Please be okay Tenten, Guy said in his thoughts. You can't die Tenten, me, Guy, Lee, and obviously, Naruto still need you, Neji said in his thoughts. Lee sped to Konoha with Tenten. He looked into the sky. Kami, if you are there don't let Tenten die on us, Lee said as he picked up speed. Back in Konoha, Naruto was busy with his paperwork, until he felt a huge surge in chakra. Naruto pinpointed the spike to 3 individuals. Naruto was able to get a vivid image of them. He saw the team that he sent over a day ago. Oh, it's Guy, Neji, Lee, and Naruto became wide-eyed and tears began to fall down his eyes. Naruto stood up and slammed his hands on the desk. Tenten, Naruto yelled. Naruto took his coat and quickly shunshined to the hospital. Naruto barged into the room where Tsunade, Shizune, and Sakura were. All 3 were startled by his burst into the room. Naruto, you could knock, what is the matter? Tsunade asked. Everyone looked up to see Naruto in tears. Everyone jumped up. Naruto, what is it? What is the problem? They asked. Naruto tried to calm down, but couldn't. Tsunade, prepare a surgery now, we have a victim, Naruto told her. Tsunade and the others became wide-eyed and got up from their seats. Who is it Naruto-kun? Who is the victim? They asked. Naruto looked up with tears still in his eyes. Tenten, Naruto yelled. The women turned pale as they ran out the door. Tsunade began to give her orders. Everyone get ready for surgery right now, we have to get prepared, Tsunade said as she got surgery clothes on. As did Sakura and Shizune. Naruto shunshined to the front gates of Konoha. He came as the gate guards came up to see their Hokage. Hokage-sama, what is the problem? They asked. Tenten's life is in danger, Naruto said, shocking them. Naruto did his hand signs and opened the barrier. He looked to see Lee charging to opening. Come on Lee, hurry up, Naruto yelled. Lee came and gave Tenten to Naruto. Naruto shunshined to the hospital with his unconscious wife in his arms. Naruto cried all the way to the hospital. Naruto made a clone that waited at the barrier. As soon as Neji and Guy made it through the barrier, the Naruto clone made his hand signs and closed the barrier and poofed away. Naruto came into the hospital and put Tenten on the hospital stretcher. The doctors and nurses put the necessary equipment on her as they took her into the surgery room. Tsunade walked past Naruto. Don't worry Naruto, as long as I am a medical ninja, I won't allow her to die, Tsunade said to him. Naruto nodded. Sakura and Shizune said the same and walked into the room with Tsunade. The surgery light came on and was in progress. Naruto stood outside the hospital. Lee, Neji, and Guy ran into the room to see Naruto on a bench crying. Naruto looked up at them, then looked down, his hair covering his eyes. What happened? Naruto said in a voice that made them flinch. Guy reported to Naruto all of the events that happened on the mission from when they started in the town to how they ended up here. After hearing the explanation, Naruto looked up and his eyes were now red and his pupils were now slits. Naruto came up to a wall and punched a giant crater into it. Damn you Kabuto, Naruto said to himself. Guy, Lee, and Neji apologized for their inability to protect her. Naruto turned to them. Even though the situation couldn't call for it, Naruto smiled and walked up to them. It is alright you guys, I know it was unexpected, I understand, you can leave or stay, but you guys will be off duty for 2 weeks to recover, Naruto told them. They all bowed and left, but Neji stayed. Naruto and Neji sat down. She won't die Naruto, I know she won't, Neji said to him. Naruto nodded. Hee you think destiny is saying that? Naruto said to him. Neji smirked. No, that is what I am saying, no more destiny mess, Neji said to Naruto. Naruto smiled. Thank you Neji, let's wait here for her, Naruto said to him. Neji nodded as they two waited on the bench for the news from Tsunade. Naruto looked at Neji. I don't know what will happen to me if I lose her, Naruto said as a few tears fell down his face. I don't know either, but she will live, Neji said to Naruto. Naruto smiled. You're right, I will believe in her, and our medics, Naruto said to him. Neji nodded. Naruto made a thinking pose. But if Kabuto is alive because of this mist, then that mean, son of a bitch. Naruto suddenly shouted to himself. Naruto got up and looked at Neji. Neji, are you sure it was Kabuto? Naruto asked him. Neji turned to Naruto and nodded. It was every day that you could second guess yourself on someone that you knew had died. Without a doubt it was him, Neji said to Naruto. He didn't understand what the problem was. Naruto became wide-eyed and cursed at the top of his breath. If he's alive then so are they, Naruto thought as he leaned back into the chair with a contemplative look on his face, but if one could see then they could see the very blue eyes that held much anger. Naruto and Neji were sitting on a bench awaiting the news of Tenten, who was severely injured in her last mission. As they sat on the bench Naruto came to the realization of the problem at hand. Now Neji, are you positive you faced Kabuto? Naruto asked seriously. Neji turned to Naruto and schooled his features showing his Hokage the very serious attitude that he nearly always had. Without a doubt Naruto-sama. I could never forget that bastard's face, Neji said to him. Naruto's eyes narrowed before he placed a finger to his chin while he thought this whole thing over. Kuso, if Kabuto is alive then, Naruto stopped as his eyes light up in shock. Naruto immediately stood and paced the floor thinking hard. Neji looked to see Naruto frantically walking. Naruto-sama, what is the problem? Neji asked, concerned for his friend. Naruto turned to Neji. Neji, I think that if Kabuto is alive, I have reason to believe the Akatsuki that me and Tenten defeated 2 years ago will be back also, Naruto said to him. Neji's face paled. To deal with the Akatsuki of all people again and during such a chaotic time. I think that might be possible considering all that we have been encountering, Neji told him. Naruto sighed and raced his hands through his hair. He knew what he had to do. He wished with all his might that he stayed to wait for Tenten, but his duties as a Kage had to come. Neji, you stay here and keep me informed of Tenten, please, Naruto told him. Neji nodded in confusion. Sure, Naruto-sama, but where are you going? Neji asked him. Naruto turned to him. I have to assemble a council. If the Akatsuki are alive, then I need to warn the other villages also, Naruto said to him. Neji nodded in understanding. He bowed as Naruto left. Naruto walked out of the hospital to fulfill his duties. Neji sat back on the bench and looked at the red sign on the surgery door. He sighed. Great, on top of Kabuto being alive, Tenten is in critical condition, and the Akatsuki might be alive. How could all of this happen in a few weeks? Neji wondered as he sat down on the bench and waited for the news from Tsunade. With Naruto. Naruto was walking through the village as he headed to all of the clan head compounds. Naruto looked to see Sume, Shikaku, and Chojuro all chatting in the Inuzuka compound. Naruto smiled. Wow, never knew those guys were friends, Naruto thought to himself. The blonde Hokage knocked on the door and waited for it to open. Sume got up and headed for the door. I wonder who that could be. She wondered as Shikaku and Chojuro shrugged their shoulders. Sume sighed. Who is it? She asked. Naruto smiled. Rokudaime Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto told her. Sume immediately opened the door to see Naruto standing in the doorway. Oh Hokage-sama, how are you doing? Sume asked with a smile. Her smile faded as she saw Naruto's red eyes. He was obviously crying a while ago. Sume immediately led Naruto inside. Naruto-sama, what is the matter? Sume asked him. Naruto turned to her as his smile faded. Sume, I need to talk to you, Shikaku, and Chojuro, Naruto told her. Sume nodded as she brought him to the table. Shikaku and Chojuro greeted Naruto as he sat down. Naruto greeted them. Hi everyone, I need to tell you all something of great importance, Naruto told them. Everyone tuned their ears and were ready for the news. First, I would like to know how the clan heirs are doing in their training, Naruto said to them. Everyone nodded as they spoke. Shikamaru has learned many more of our family's jutsus, he complains, but he is learning quite fast, Shikaku said to him. Naruto nodded and turned to Sume. Kiba has gotten much stronger. He can now do more of our clan's devastating techniques, Sume said to him. Naruto smiled then turned to Chojuro. Choji is a natural. He has learned more of our techniques faster than any clan heir before him, Chojuro said to Naruto. Naruto nodded and continued. Thank you everyone, I am happy to hear that, but I have some recent news, Naruto said to them. Everyone tensed as they heard Naruto. I sent Team Guy on a mission to get supplies, but they came back in a very bad condition, Naruto said to them. Everyone had a look of shock. They couldn't see such a team losing to anything easily. They said that they fought Kabuto, who is supposed to be dead, Naruto said to them. Sume jumped and slammed her hands to the table in front of her. But that's impossible, how is he alive? She asked. Naruto narrowed his eyes. I think this is due to the mist. If it resurrects the dead, then it is sound that he is able to come back, Naruto said to her. Sume calmed down and sat back down in shock. I also have to assume that the Akatsuki will come back also, Naruto said to them. Everyone became wide-eyed. The Akatsuki are back, Chojuro said in shock. Naruto nodded his head. I have to assume that they are, or will be, Naruto said to them. Everyone became silent as Naruto continued. So I want you to relay this to the other shinobi and the other clan heirs please, Naruto said to them. Everyone quickly nodded and ran off to tell the news to the joint clans. Naruto sighed as he got up to leave. I wonder how everyone else is doing in their villages, Naruto said to himself as he walked out of the room. In Suna, Gaara and his village were all kept safe from the mist as Gaara had put up a sand wall over his village to protect it. Everyone was thankful to their Kazekage as life tried to carry on. Kazekage-sama, we haven't seen any more of those things since yesterday, Baki said to Gaara. Gaara nodded as he took out his paperwork and decided to do that. He didn't have many missions for people, seeing as how he didn't want people to be in the mist for long periods of time. He was more than happy to accept refugees into his village so they could be safe from the mist. Thank you, Baki, you may have the week off, Gaara said to him. Baki bowed and walked out. Gaara rubbed his temples as he felt the silence of the room. Damn it, Orochimaru, peace is something that you just plain hate, isn't it? Gaara wondered. He looked out the window. I wonder how Naruto is doing. He wondered. He sighed as he got up. I need some fresh air, he said as he walked out. Somewhere in Suna, Orochimaru-sama, all people are in position, a sound Nin said through his mic. Kukuku, very good, wait for orders, Orochimaru said to him. The man bowed and shunshined out of the room. Time to start the reign of terror, Orochimaru said to himself. Sasuke was with him as he sharpened his sword in the dark. In Kiri, Mei was in her office deciding on a plan of action against the mist. Mei managed to put a high pH level of mist around her village. For some reason the green mist would always dissolve before ever reaching Kiri. Mei sighed as she finished all of her current paperwork. This is the biggest ordeal right now, she said to herself. Ao came in to check on the Mizukage, who wasn't in a good mood. Mizukage-sama, we have no new news on our situation, the only that is wrong is the shortage of supplies, Ao said to her. Mei slumped as she hid her head on the desk. When is this day going to be over? She wondered as she nodded at Ao. Thank you for the bad news, Ao. Now get out before I melt your balls off, she said to him. Ao ran out the door confused. What did I do now? He wondered as he walked out the door. In Kumo, Raikage, A, was in his office doing his paperwork as usual. He, however, intensified the training of his shinobi. He had made up several training regimes for his people to try. His village was completely safe, because he was able to expand his lighting to encircle his country. Raikage groaned as he went through his work. Man, even this mist can't get rid of all the paperwork, he thought to himself as a joke. Yugito Ni came in to see her Raikage. Good afternoon, Raikage-sama, how is everything? She asked. Looked up at her. Oh, everything is fine, just been getting complaints of supplies is all, he said to her. Yugito nodded. It must be tough, we can't go out like we used to, she said to him. Raikage pounded the desk. All because of that damn snake, said to her. Yugito nodded as she decided to stay in the room to keep a company. In Iwa, Onoki was also doing his work. He was confined to his desk for trying to escape his work so many times. The Tsuchikage grumbled as he sat in his chair. This is so unbearable, he said to himself. Onoki was able to make a seal over his country. His seal was able to dematerialize any substance that would prove deadly to humans. Onoki grumbled. This is too damn unbearable. Everywhere in the world is chaos, because of that damn Orochimaru, he thought as he sat back in his chair. Onoki finished his paperwork and looked out the window. What can I do to pass the time? He wondered. Back in Konoha, 4 hours later. Neji was still sitting on the bench. He sighed as he forgot what time it was. Soon before he fell asleep on the bench, he saw the red light go out. Neji's eyes shot open as he ran to the door. He saw Tsunade, Shizune, and Sakura carry out Tenten and put her into a room. Neji walked with them as they escorted him to the room where Tenten would be staying. As the people put her on the bed, Neji decided to speak. Tsunade-sama, how is she? Will she live? He asked her. Tsunade looked at Neji with her expression almost sad. Tsunade took a big breath and decided to speak. Neji, listen, Tenten is back with Naruto. Naruto had just gotten out of the council's room after going through some necessary procedures for the supplies of Konoha. Naruto cricked his neck as he walked back to his office. As Naruto walked back, he saw Neji, Sakura, Shizune, Jiraiya, and Tsunade in the room waiting for him. Naruto walked up to them and sat down in his chair. He took a minute to gaze at their expressions. Naruto sighed as he tried to ask the dreadful question. Naruto took a deep breath and asked, Tsunade, how is Tenten? He asked her. Tsunade looked up to gaze at Naruto. His expression was entirely serious with a hint of sadness. Tsunade nodded. Naruto, Tenten is alive and well, she said to him. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. He looked to see Tsunade wasn't finished and let her continue. But Naruto, she is in a coma right now, we don't know when she will wake up, Tsunade said to him.